The information yesterday and the day before, Donald Trump wanting to hook up with Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi. He's liking the Democrats. The Republicans are freaking out. I haven't seen any reports so far. Maybe you have. If you have, let me know. I mean, it's possible there's a news site that I missed this morning. I only read about 15 or 20 of them every morning as part of my show prep here. But I haven't seen any reports about what Trump and Ryan talked about at dinner last night, or if Ryan stalked out of the White House, or, you know, if they were seen hugging each other or yelling at each other. I no idea. But you know, we've talked on this program at some length about the rise of authoritarianism around the world, and it's one of the things that most concerned me about the election of Donald Trump as president, is that his tendencies are clearly authoritarian. You know, the idea of I'm the big guy, I'm the big, you know, I'm the big cheese here, you know, that kind of stuff. And authoritarianism seems to be on the rise around the world. You see an authoritarian government in the Philippines with Rodrigo Duterte, you know, and he's just explicitly killing people for using drugs and things like that. I mean, as one of many things. It's going after his political enemies in ways that are clearly authoritarian. Now it's happening in India. Excuse me. Narendra Modi, the president of India, who, when he was mayor of a provincial mayor, or the equivalent of a county commissioner or something like that, you know, some part of India, actually, there were major riots where the Hindus murdered a bunch of the Muslims in this town. And Modi was somehow, and, you know, there's still a debate, directly, indirectly involved in all that. And that was kind of his political launching pad. That was for Modi the equivalent of Donald Trump standing up, you know, at Trump Tower and saying Mexicans are rapists and killers. And now you've got this woman, Gauri Lankesh, who is a reporter in India. She lives in Bengaluru. And Tuesday, she walked out of her home and was shot in the head. And a bunch of Modi supporters are now tweeting and Facebooking and whatnot how happy they are that this journalist who had been calling out Hindu nationalism is dead. And Modi, as of the time that this article by Michael Safi was published in The Guardian, which was, I think, around 3 hours ago, Modi has not yet, or had not yet, said anything about that, had not spoken out in defense of journalism or this particular journalist or reporters in general. And, you know, so everybody's waiting to see, you know, what's the deal here. Meanwhile, the Financial Times, if you subscribe to it, as I do, and no, they don't pay me to say this. It's nice to have a newspaper that actually, you know, doesn't seem to have a huge political axe to grind. Although, you know, I mean, let's call it what it is. You know, the Financial Times is rich people reading about rich people learning about the economy. It's, you know, but for somebody who's an economy junkie, I find it fascinating. And this, from their weekly summary that they send out, it's called the FT News Mine. Some quotes, and it's basically kind of the best of the week, right? But here's a couple of them. Goldman Sachs is not the only bank struggling with its commodities business. The world's top 12 investment banks have just recorded their lowest half-yearly revenues in the area since 2006. So commodities are not doing well. Commodities would be, you know, copper, steel, gold, silver, iron, zinc, wheat, pork bellies, whatever. And the thing you need to know about commodities is that they are an early warning signal about the state of the economy. If food processors expect strong demand, they order extra pork bellies, right, to turn into, you know, jerky sticks or whatever. I don't know if it's pork bellies or, you know, cows or whatever I don't know what they make jerky out of. But you know what I'm talking about. If developers, housing people who build houses expect strong demand is coming down the road, they buy more lumber. If car manufacturers expect more cars to be bought, they buy more steel. And in the course of buying these intermediate products, they're not the raw material itself. The raw material is the iron ore, right? The raw material is the field filled with corn. They're not the raw material, but they're the intermediate material. And when you see intermediate materials like that, dropping in value or the raw materials that produce them dropping in value, it typically means that at the wholesale level of the marketplace, the market is expecting the economy is going to go down. And in fact, FT points out this article, the article titled Decline in Investment Banks' Revenues from Commodities, that, quote, the world's top 12 investment banks have just recorded their lowest half-yearly revenues since 2006. I mentioned that. And then it goes on to say 41% lower than the first half of last year. A 41% drop. This is a significant signal, in my opinion. They also note, this is a decline in U.S. factory orders from a September 5th article in the Financial Times. U.S. factory orders in July fell by the most in nearly 3 years, signaling a speed bump for the manufacturing sector. Factory orders slid 3.3% in July. So, you know, this is not yet GDP. This is not yet the actual economy out there, the public economy. This is now just, you know, the stuff in the pipeline, right? The goods, basically, in the pipeline. But when they start to collapse, look out.